into it. But then I saw the guy that was doing it handing out the cards, and he looked like he's a younger guy. I could kind of tell he's kind of like the Russian type guy, like an immigrant with a thick Russian accent. And then I started thinking. The other day I was at Verizon, and I had I wanted to buy a tablet for my wife, and he started selling me all this other stuff, and it's just like, it's just sells. I mean, I've read every book there is on sales, and I could tell you, what he's doing is just there's just like he just more. They try to act interested, whatever. Excuse me. And so it's just like, oh God, all I was thinking about is, okay, the Russian business etiquette is just go for it down your throat, and every culture has their etiquette. Iranians have theirs, the Dutch have theirs. So if you think you're racist, I think I'm a racist, then whatever, it's stereotypes. They are what they are, and so this Russian business guy, I'm not saying Russians are bad. It's my grandma. Actually, my cousin's grandma, but I call her grandma. She's 90s and came over. She's Russian. I mean, I love the hell out of her. So it's not. Oh, I don't like Russians, but the Russians in that generation is different than the Russians now, where it seems like it could be a little pushy. Excuse me. So anyway, so I form my opinion. Why? Because I just hate Russians? No, it's because the last few times I've dealt with that type of person in sales, it just left a certain taste in my mouth, and that's just the way it is. And if I deal with the next dozen Russians I deal with that are in sales, specifically to sales, then it will change my opinion. But if I have an opinion about somebody, because that's my experience, you can't get mad at me. I mean, isn't that a survival instinct? Is you deal with something and you form your opinion about it. If you keep on touching a plant and it makes you itch, just keep on touching it because it's sensitive. No, you just don't touch that plant anymore. It's not that you hate the plant. It's just you have a reaction, and that's how we're wired. If you don't like it, go talk to God. So anyway. So I get out there, I see the guy, I'm like, I don't feel, now I'm thinking, is this an online thing that, really I could get it for $35, but they're charging me $500, so that's kind of how that went. But, nevertheless, it was a great idea. Great sales tactic. It's just, it got ruined, for me because of the people. It could be the nicest guy in the world, but the 10 people ahead of him that kind of were doing the slick sales type thing ruined it for him. Instead of getting mad at me, why don't you get pissed off at your brethren, when they do that. I mean, and you could say with Americans are rude, when they travel. Well, if that's what the world feels about Americans, then shouldn't I just get mad at Americans instead of just being pissed off at people, unless I'm proving their point. So anyway, getting all the way back to what we started talking about is I do like doing business and sales, and I didn't always like doing sales. I just got better at it. And like I say, I'm not, a lot of these guys are like, yeah, I got the DNA for it. I'm hardwired, and I come from a family of blah blah blah, and it's just like, oh gosh, shut up, dude. Quit bragging. And that's great for that person, but if I'm just an average salesperson, I need to learn how to sell without this superhuman DNA that you're bragging about. And there are, with all the stuff I read, and the one thing I noticed recently, it's tell your story and get people, kind of bury the lead a little bit, get people interested in your story, and they will gravitate to it. Don't expect a lot, don't try to punch people in the face with the clothes. Tell the people story, get your product out there, and it gets more fun, it gets easier. And then once you tell your story, if it's worth something, people will be interested. If it's not worth anything, what you got to do is go out and make a story. It's a weird time, because you could be a gardener, and you could be a badass gardener, and you could actually have be hip to be a gardener, if you do a bitchin' job. But the problem is, everybody's just showing up to work and thinking about partying. But let's say you trim everything perfect, you have a nice vehicle, you have a nice equipment, just the way you do it is different. I mean, I don't know, you get creative, it's your venture. But like the way I do my stuff is, I talk to the customer, I show up, we all look good, we're clean, we over deliver in the cleaning company, and it's actually, we're kind of the coolest people that do what we do, and it's kind of fun. I'm super confident when I give estimates, because I know that we're the best, not the biggest, but the best. And it does make it fun, and it makes me very effective too. And it's just a big snowball effect. And with social media, I mean, God, it's like I could be as big as I want to be. It's just it's my Achilles heel. You always hear me complain about is employees. Getting good employees, because you want to hire people that remind you of yourself, but it's kind of a dust bowl out there as far as people to pick, because everybody wants to do their own thing, but they're kind of 20 years ahead of it, or 10 years ahead of it. You do need to. I just realized I was supposed to pick up dinner. Better keep on going. So you do need to build a brand, do the hard work and everything. And if you say, that's not for me, well, then maybe like at the very beginning of our conversation, maybe you're picking the wrong thing. Maybe you do need to find out what is for you. I heard a really good saying. It's find out, and I don't know how accurate it is, because I didn't do it like this, that's for damn sure. But if you weren't getting paid, would you still do what you're doing? What would you do? And then whatever you wind up doing, try to find a way to get paid for it. I don't know how applicable that is to the real world, because the biggest law in business is find a problem and fix that problem, and get good at it, and eventually you'll make money doing it. So I think instead of just saying, okay, I'm gonna go rub suntan lotion on myself and lay out and get paid for it, pick from a list. Okay, what from this list seems to be the most promising, and I like doing. I think that's a more accurate way of doing it, and a more effective way of doing it. Because let's face it, if you do not see the returns on the investment of time and energy that you're putting into something, you are going to get a little apathetic about it, and not do it as much. And what's exciting, like when I go to my my website, let's say the podcast, and like some days I'll go on there and it's like, 800 people visit my website. It's exciting. And then you want to get next day, and then better the next day. And then when you go there and you see 12 people were on your website, like, boo. But if it was that way for a long time with no promise of an upside, it would be a tough gig. I don't know if I could stick it out. Well, I'll find out, because I am going to try to stick it out, because I enjoy doing it. I just don't know if there's an upside to it. I think, the whole reason I'm even doing the podcast is because I believe, like, it used to be, I remember Amazon became a new search engine, because I think people got so sick of Google, everything was ad, pay to play, that it wasn't a real accurate search engine. Let's say I'm going to buy a new charger, not a car charger. Well, let's say a car charger. Well, they don't have the Dodge Demon charger yet, so we'll call it a Challenger. I'll say buy a Challenger. If it's my story, I can make up whatever I want as far as a vehicle. Okay, so let's say I'm going to buy a Challenger, the Hellcat, 840 horsepower or something like that. So I heard. And, I'm going to search on Google. And, the problem is you get all these Hold on, dude. Somebody's darting out in front of everybody, idiot. The crosswalk. I caught a yellow light, and this guy goes ahead of everybody. Oh, you know what? I got my little dash cam. Sweet. I have recorded it. I'm on my dash cam. I'm recording everything that's kind of potentially dangerous. So as my kids get driving, I could show them, hey, here's all the close near misses and everything. And they could be, gee, that's great, Dad, but my car drives itself. I'm actually facing backwards, looking at my hologram all the way to work. But thanks, Pops. So anyway, what was I talking about again? Oh gosh, come on, brain, think. Okay, so the guy was stepping off, and I went around him, and I said, well, I'm gonna have to, I lost my train of thought. Hold on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Oh, how can I forget? Dodge Challenger. And there's a Challenger and a Charger. I mean, it's hard enough to remember all these car names, and then they're gonna, really, you couldn't just go come out with a Dodge Dart again. It had to be a Challenger and a Charger. So I search on Google, and first thing you're gonna get is ads. So if you search on, let's say, Instagram, you'll get real people, just people, their opinions on it and everything. And I think as things change, they'll refine the search engine on Instagram, instead of a bunch of selfies that people just frying themselves in the sun or whatever, or a bunch of dudes making duck faces. It'll actually be a car or what have you. But I think that's going to be a very accurate way of searching. And if I keep on doing what I'm doing, the podcast, cleaning company, food company, when people search it, let's say my name or my company comes up, what's nice is eventually it's a voice, and people, I think, are going to want voice as a review of a product. And what's nice is, if you've been around, you could BS people, but you can't BS them for too long. Believe me, I tried, and my wife, if I try to pull something on her, just forget about it. Like if I want to, I've been looking for RVs, a new like a motorhome. And I'll be like, oh, it's a nice day. We should go for a drive. Let's go over to the 5 in Sand Canyon. Oh, I think there's an RV dealer over there. It's just like that's how my brain works. If I got something that maybe somebody shouldn't. If I'm giving them bad information, just do the old 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you'll get the beans out of me, because I'm not a good liar, because I don't have a lot of practice lying. So in any event, basically, let's just get a lot of information out there. If you can get on that ship, but also, and to get all the information out there, it's a lot of, okay, I got to do a lot of stuff to have information. I mean, you can't just get on the soapbox and start talking. I mean, you can. I mean, would you like me to go down the list of politicians that they have a great voice, or they speak really well? And no, that's probably a bad example, because even a politician, they've been through the gamut. They've been to school, they traveled, and of course on my dime probably when they're in office. But for the most part, though, it's you got a lot of people with so much charisma and confidence, and it's like, they're just a machine gun. It's just, the barrels are spinning, but there's no lead coming out. It's just, so you do have to at least become an expert in your field before you can start speaking well. And like mine is just, I've just been in sales and have watched businesses kind of come up, and some of them did well.